Students, I'd like to welcome you to AP Psych. Uh, Technically, the last few years we've called it AP Psych, or it's also offered as dual credit through Vincennes University. And the question for this screencast is, what do you do? Which option is best for you? And this is an individual choice. Every student can choose to take AP, the AP version or option, or you can take the dual credit option. And that's what we're going to examine real quick in this screencast. I might also add that this is probably the only screencast I'll recommend. You might want to have your parents take a look at this with you just so that they can understand the difference as well, because they're going to probably be the ones paying for this. And hopefully they can help you out in terms of making the decision. So let's take a look here. First of all, the question comes up, is there any major difference in terms of the course assignments? If you're sitting in class on a day-to-day basis with me and we're going through all the stuff we have to go through for psych, the question is, do you have to do any major things differently if you're taking AP or if you're taking dual credit? And for the most part, the answer to that is no. On a day-to-day basis, you will not notice any difference whatsoever because it's taught the exact same way. Half the time, I don't even remember if you're taking it for dual credit or if you're taking it for AP. Everything we do for the entire semester, we will satisfy the requirements and everything for each of those programs. So it's not an issue on a day-to-day basis. The one thing that is different is in May when we come time for the AP exam. Obviously, if you are taking the AP option, you have to take the AP exam. And that's on a date which is set nationally. We have no control over that, and so you do have to take that test. Now, on that same day, because we will have reviewed extensively prior to that test day, everybody else who's taking the dual credit option, they will be taking the dual credit or Vincennes final exam. Vincennes does require you to take their final exam. It's not a test that I make up, it's a test they make up and they actually give at the university. So you will have to take that. We take that during the normal class time on the same day as the AP exam. So it doesn't take you any outside time as far as coming in, and it's not like a 2-hour test or anything like that. Now, I will say our students have performed extremely well on their final exams in the past. So Vincennes has actually been very, very happy about the way that our students have performed on this. As I stated, if you take the AP exam, or the AP option in this class, to get your college credit, here's the difference that you're really looking at here. To get your college credit, you are required to take the AP exam in May, and that test solely will determine whether or not you get college credit. When you take the AP exam, you will get a score ranging from 1 to 5. Hopefully, you will get a 4 or a 5. But most colleges will require you to get a 4 or a 5 to give you 3 credits as psychology credits. You have to talk to those colleges, or I'll show you a website here in a little bit that can give you some information as well. But each college may be different. Some colleges might require a 4, some require a 5, but most will require either a 4 or a 5, which, that's a good score on that test. That's a difficult test. So now Indiana passed a deal a few years ago where they require colleges to at least give you 3 credits at their college if you score a 3 or higher on the exam. But notice those are undeclared credits. They are not necessarily psychology credits. And the college can kind of decide, what they want to do with those credits, okay, where they want to put them for you. So now, the bad part about the AP exam is if you score a 1 or a 2 on that exam, basically you are not getting college credit. You've taken a college course here at the high school, you've paid for the test and so on, but you're not really getting that part out of it. Okay? Now, if you take the AP exam, you will need to order that by sometime in very early March, and the cost of that is typically about $89. Now, the pros and cons. What I've tried to do on here is list just kind of the good points, bad points. The AP exam is, run by the College Board. It's very well respected. Colleges all around the country and even worldwide know of the AP program. So if you call and want to ask a college about the AP exam and say, hey, what do I need to do, or what do I need to get on the test, they'll know what you're talking about. That's not a problem. AP is very transferable all around the country, all around the world, really. Now, the other advantage to taking this class, whether it's for AP or dual credit, either one, it does count toward your academic honors diploma, and Brownsburg considers it a grade-weighted class, which means you get bonus points on your GPA for this. Now, you do have to earn a C- or higher to get the grade weight. And for that matter, when you're taking the AP option of this, you have to take the AP exam. Otherwise, you do not get the grade weight. Now, the cons on this, again, everything on AP is based on one test. So that test is given, I know the last few years we've been giving it, it's basically the first Monday, it's the very first day of AP testing in May. And the last year or two, I think, it's even been on the Monday after prom, which is not the greatest test day in the world. But the bad part about this is everything you do in this class is going to be determined by one particular test, and that's it. Okay, that's all you get. If you don't do well on that test, well then you don't get your credit. For kids who are not very good test takers, this is kind of a difficult deal. Or I've had many students in the past who they were very good students, they knew their material, but they just get so anxious when they take that test that they didn't perform well, and as a result did not get their credit. So that's the only bad thing there, really. Now, the dual credit option is offered through Vincennes. The particular class that you would be taking is called Psych 142. It's called General Psychology. And by taking this, here's the difference, okay? You're literally taking a college course. If you do this through Vincennes, well then all you have to do is get a C or higher, and you have your 3 college credits in psychology. It's that simple. So you get those credits. And it's not undeclared credits. It's psychology credits that you get. Now, the cost of the course, you can't get much better than this, $25 per credit or $75 total. Now, there are prerequisites, okay? Take a look at these prerequisites for being part of that class, okay? You have to meet these requirements. Most of my students have not had any issues at all in the years past in meeting those. Now, the Accuplacer Math, that is a test that Brownsburg will give. In fact, there's one day in like the second week of class when we'll take time out and Mrs. Creed, who is in the counseling department, will give that test to any student who's taken the dual credit option. So again, most of those things my students are very capable of. They have not had any issues in terms of qualifying to take this class. Now, Psych 142 is part of the Core Transfer Library in Indiana, and what that basically means is any college in Indiana will be able to look that up and be able to transfer that in to their particular college. Now, students must register for this course option during the first couple weeks of the class. We have to get our registration done in and to Vincennes so that they know that you are actually taking this course. Pros and cons of this. It's an outstanding option, especially for students who are not extremely good test takers. Because again, in this situation, your work over the entire course is all going into that grade. Okay, you're not basing everything on just a single test. So, and this tends to be a little less stressful for students because if they do perform poorly on one quiz or one test, they can always make it up with other assignments. Okay, it's extremely inexpensive, and again, this counts toward the academic honors, and it's a grade-weighted class for Brownsburg. Now, the cons on this, it might not be quite as easy to transfer, especially to out-of-state colleges. Some of those, they may not know exactly what the curriculum entails, and so you need, if you're thinking especially about going out of state, you definitely want to check with that particular college and tell them exactly what you're taking so that they know and they can look at it and actually tell what you're doing. Now, some colleges, let's take IU as an example. IU teaches this class in 2 semesters, not 1. So you'd be getting 3 college credits, but technically they require 6. So they would give you credit for part of that. They would give you basically half of their credits, okay? In other words, they'd give you a semester worth of psychology credits, but you still might have to take another semester because that's their school. That's what they require, but you'd still be getting credit for what you're doing here. Now, last thing that we're going to take a look at, I've got some frequently asked questions here. First question on here, how do you know what a particular college will accept? Well, here's a good website right here that you can go to. It doesn't have every single college in there, but it has quite a bit. And you can see how both the AP and the dual credit applies to those particular Indiana colleges. And then the other option is obviously to check with the specific college. And if you do contact a college, what information do you need to know? Well, right here it is. Okay? If you simply mention that you are taking AP Psychology and you're asking what do you have to score, a 4 or a 5 on the AP exam, they're going to know that without a doubt. But if you're calling about the dual credit, that information right there, just make sure they know that the class is part of the core transfer library and that it's Psych 142 General Psychology you're taking through Vincennes University. And then they will be able to match that up with their curriculum. Now, do you have to take either one of these? Some students have asked that in the past, and the answer is yes. That's the nature of this course. This is a college class that you are taking, so you do have to do one of the 2 options. Now, can you possibly do both options? And the answer to that is yes. I've had several students in the past who have taken both options. Now, obviously, if you take both options, you're going to have to pay for both options. So that's a particular thing that you might want to have to discuss. But most students will take one or the other. Now, you do have to decide soon because literally the dual credit option you have to know within the first couple weeks because we've got to get all our materials to Vincennes. Now, one further note, okay? If anyone is on free or reduced lunch, well, there are fee waivers available. And so you might be able to do these programs without with either no or very little cost to you. So definitely check into that if you qualify. Hopefully these things make sense, and if not, we will be covering this in class during the first week, and I'll have one of the counselors in to actually discuss this with you. And so any questions you have, we can go over at that time, and I hope this makes it where it makes a little bit more sense to you.